Hello and welcome to a brand new feature for you all. This is Track Talk, brought to you by William Hill. It goes alongside the Inside Track, but we are also just going to be covering a few other discussion topics that have been in the news this past week. I'll be looking at these discussion topics in the company of James Mackie and Luke Elder. So to kick us off, lads, we are talking about the Clarence House Chase. Now, this race was, of course, due to be run at Ascot on Saturday just gone, but of course we did lose that meeting to the Frost, so it is now rescheduled to be run at Cheltenham this Saturday instead, from what was just 3 entries initially for Ascot. It wasn't reopened, but we do have some horses that have been supplemented for this. So James, is this a good thing or not?
Personally, for me, it should have been reopened completely, not just to the 8 that were there at the before the 5-day stage at Ascot. I thought the race was an absolute farce before. Obviously, it was called off last time, only 3 runners going to post. Well, obviously, you'll see on the Inside Track as well, we mentioned slightly this, but Amarillo Sky was going to go around for £18,000 and just going to finish third, and that's a very good horse as well. Obviously, not to the same standard as Energamine and Edward Stone. But for me, now this race is at Cheltenham, this is a perfect opportunity to use it as a proper trial for the Champion Chase. So why not reopen it to then see better horses across from Ireland that could come over, want to run at Cheltenham and have a proper go at a trial? Yes, I know the Dublin Races Festival's in a week or so, and a lot are lined up for that, but there's no better way to prep for a race than running around the same track. So I think it should have been reopened. I was very surprised it wasn't. It's nice to see Elder and James be supplemented for the race, but still, at the 5-day stage, we've got 6 runners, and for a race like this, I think it's pathetic personally. So yeah, it should have been reopened for me.
Yeah, punchy there from James, Luke. And are you in agreement with that, or do you think that, can you understand why they haven't reopened this race for more entries?
Yeah, because horse racing likes making bad choices.
Can't argue that.
Why not just try and get the strongest race that you possibly can? I agree with James. Try and get the Irish horses over. It was never going to happen. That they wouldn't bring horses over, especially if it wasn't in the plan as well, because the horses are meticulously mapped out for their road to Cheltenham. So they weren't going to go at the last minute. Oh, let's not go to Leopardstown just down the road, and we'll go over to Cheltenham instead. It would have been nice for all horses to be involved, but that said, as long as Energamine and Edward Stone were there, you weren't going to get too many others. Obviously, Gary Moore's put Editeur du Gite in there. Loved that move from Gary Moore. He's at the very least going to get a bit of prize money, and it probably is more that way. It wouldn't shock you if Editeur du Gite was a spoiler and managed to finish second and cause a bit of a fright to one of the big guns. I think Energamine will come out on top, but just to say one point from James, not the exact course and distance, is it, of the Champion Chase? It's Cheltenham, but yeah, it's the new course instead of the old course.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I was just saying as an opinion of running around Cheltenham. I know it's a different track, but you're getting the undulations, aren't you, and stuff like that compared to elsewhere. So yeah.
Yeah, and it is an incredibly idiosyncratic track anyway, like I said, regardless of new or old course. So just getting the feel of said undulations and said tempo of those races, which is also very different. It is obviously very good practice, and Editeur du Gite has a cracking course record, as we know. So he could well be enough to upset the apple cart then of the big 2 guns through in the Clarence House Chase. But again, yeah, another decision where it's tricky to really make the argument why they didn't reopen that. Now we're going to be talking about Billy the Kid, the superstar that is Billy Loughnane, and the great guns that this 16-year-old has been going so far, because he managed to get to 20 winners from just 119 rides. Now James dug out the stats for this because that was quicker than Oisin Murphy, who took 127 rides, William Buick, who took 154 rides, and Ryan Moore, who took a grand total of 184 rides. So I mean, James, like I said, I've just stolen those stats from you all the same, and he's managed to gather even more winners since then. But how good is this kid?
Look, I know we're talking with a bit of recency bias because we're seeing him at the moment all the time, flying around, winning doubles, trebles at tracks. But for me, this 16-year-old is the serious, real deal. I think he'll be the champion jockey in waiting one day. I think he's going to have an absolutely massive career. In the whole time I've been in horse racing, which is probably like less than you guys, but with the time I've been watching horse racing, I haven't seen a jockey on the flat come through like Billy Loughnane. I think he's got the lot. When I've seen him at Wolverhampton quite a lot, when he turned in the corner, the power he has for such a small, and he's not the biggest person in the world, is he, as well? I know he's 16, but absolutely gets the horses flying home. he was a bit of a cheat code, wasn't he, of a £7 claimer, and I still think he is at £5. I think he's got the gift, and I think that every trainer we want to be using. You see last year the apprentices like Benoit Delasea and Harry Burns and people like that. Obviously, John Gosling and Charlie Apple were using. I think Billy Loughnane will be used by these trainers. He's already been given a chance by George Bowie, and he's having winners. Obviously, George Bowie, a classic winning trainer. I think it'd be sooner rather than later for the bigger trainers on the flat will be using Billy Loughnane, because I think he's a superstar in waiting.
Yeah, completely. And as you say, at the time of recording, he has added to that tally because he's now 24 winners from 132 rides, and he's got a book of 5 rides tonight at Southwell as we currently record. So yeah, that tally just looks as though it's just going to continue to grow and grow. Now, Luke, are we in danger though of putting a bit too much of a celebrity status, a bit too much pressure on very young shoulders? Or do you think that he sort of has the network around him that he should be able to cope with this?
I think we do it with every jockey, so yes. But,
yes, we do.
His father, obviously, trainer as well. He's very down to earth, and he wouldn't let Billy sort of get ahead of himself. Even Billy, for a 16-year-old kid, he seems to have a decent head on his shoulders as well. But he's just a very good rider, as James was saying. I'm going to prepare you for the worst argument that you're going to hear about Billy Loughnane in the next few months. Is, can he ride on turf? Like, yes, of course he can ride on turf. I know he's ridden on the all-weather brilliantly. There's going to be no issue whatsoever with him riding on turf. He's a very good rider. He's a very capable rider. Even on his first ride, if I sat down anyone to watch that race and said, there's a £7 claimer in here, which one is it? You wouldn't have picked him out at all. There would have been absolutely no part of you that could have gone, right, yeah, him. Because he doesn't stand out at all. He's very tactically astute in the saddle. He's aesthetically pleasing as well with the way he goes about his races. So I think he's just a very, very good rider. And you have permission from me if anyone questions whether he can do it on turf to give him a slap upside the head, because of course he can.
Wonderful. You've heard it here first. Like you say, complete permission. Send all complaints to Luke Elder, though, if that does get you into a war. But yeah, it will be a debate, because it's just, you have to try and throw some sort of sticks at someone this talented. And so that's going to be some debate that some people are going to try and throw out there. But he is at least going to be preserving his claim by going out to ride track work in America. But at the same time, like say, James, you mentioned the fact that he is a very slight person, but I haven't seen him in person. But to me, he actually looks tall enough for his age, and obviously he's going to grow at some point anyway. So I'd say that if anyone could actually do with probably getting through their claim a little bit quicker, he might actually be the one. It might even open up more rides for him, the fact that he's going to have that reduced claim then in time. So it's finding that really tricky balance between the pair of them, but we wish Billy all the best clearly going forwards. He's
been quite vocal about that as well. He says he wants to get to his £3 claim as quickly as possible, just because that will open up more rides for him. I don't think he's heavy in the. I know the Gordon Elliott lads have been sniffing around saying if he enjoys McDonald's a bit too much, then get him over to Ireland. But I think he's just going to get better and better the longer we see him. But yeah, he has mentioned about the weight, that he wants to get down to 3 as quickly as possible, and he's probably already feeling the effects of losing 2 pounds off, and he's pretty delighted about it.
Like I say, in a backwards way, it actually might open up more rides, when counterintuitive that seems, because for most jockeys, I want to preserve that to have more rides. But yeah, and Gordon Elliott sniffing around for all of these flat jockeys at the minute. He managed to poach Sam Ewing, and now he's got his eyes on Billy Loughnane as well. So going to be fascinating to see what avenue he goes down. But luckily, he's got a lot still to cover on the flat, at least for now. Anyway, now there has been much debate this week when Flightline was awarded 140 in the handicapping system used by the International Federation of Horse Racing Authorities, which left him equal with Frankel as the highest rated racehorse of all time. Now, I say this has caused a lot of debate, probably more this side of the Atlantic, at least anyway. So, Luke, you were saying you had an opinion on this, so take it away.
Well, the reason everyone finds this interesting over here is because we're English and we're quite stubborn people. I don't know if you guys know that, but we are quite stubborn.
Very much.
And Frankel's the best, and no one can touch Frankel. Black Caviar was rubbish, wasn't she? That's the English way. Winks, rubbish, handicapper. Yeah. Would have run a handicap at Royal Ascot, just because we don't accept other horses into things. I mean, we thought Baid was better than Flightline, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
That said, you can't compare Frankel and Flightline, 2 very different horses. It's like trying to get a Star Chaser and comparing him to a Black Caviar. They're completely different. Frankel never ran on dirt. Flightline never ran on turf. Frankel never ran on the all weather either. It's all sort of hearsay. They were both exceptional horses, different horses as well, because Flightline, he had a tendency to give himself annoying little injuries that kept him off the track for a little while. I think one of them, he might have knocked himself in the stable and cut his shoulder. Right, that's 2 months on the sideline. Like he just never managed to keep himself sound. But when he did keep himself sound, he was brilliant. I think he posted the officially 4th highest speed figure ever in America, which on the Bayer system. That's incredible. The only horses that beat him were Ghost Sapper and a horse that won the Vosborough twice. I've completely forgotten the name of it at the moment, but was a sprinter, which it can lead to more inflated Bayer speed figures. But this horse ran to better figures than Justify, than American Pharaoh. That was in the TVG Classic when winning over at Del Mar. He was very, very good. And then they tried to get him beaten in the Breeders' Cup Classic when Life is Good went forward with him. They went too hard. Life is Good is a really good horse.
Yeah.
And he finished 6th, literally stumbling over the line. He was done. He couldn't take another step. Flightline's still out in front, being eased down by Flavien Prat. Frankel did the same thing. He just did it to again, very good horses over in the UK. I would never compare the two. I think in horse racing, we're always left wanting a little bit more, and we're never going to get that by talking about it. The best thing we can do is just appreciate 2 absolute stars that we've got on show. At least in football, if you wanted to compare Messi and Ronaldo, they're around at the same time, put them on the pitch against each other, and they do. So you can do that, but you're never going to do that in Flightline and Frankel. You can have an opinion either way. You're never going to be right. You're never going to be wrong.
No, exactly. It creates debate, but there's no way to find out a definite answer. And it's just going to get under the skin of a fair few people all the same anyway. But good case made there all the same. And for everything that Flightline managed to do, and obviously Frankel in their career, 2 absolutely outstanding superstar freaks of horses all the same anyway. James, can you separate the pair of them, or where did you stand on this debate?
I'm with Luke for a lot of what he said. I think personally, I find it a bit stupid why they're being compared in the first place, because you've got 2 things. I mean, yes, they're from different times, but the turf and the dirt issue, when have you ever compared that? You always see with horses, let's say in England, or even in Ireland at Dundalk, you see horses that will run around Dundalk all year round and they won't go on the turf because they're no good on the turf. So why would you compare a horse that runs around dirt to then go and compare it to a horse that runs on the grass? I can't understand it. For maybe the rating of 140, I think Luke's right with saying everyone in England, because Frankel's the poster boy of flat racing, the story it came with Sir Henry Cecil, he's got to be at the top. I think probably there's slightly more than that. I think the longevity he did it for, to have a horse come out, win 14 races in a row, win all the Group 1 races he did. And because we haven't seen Flightline all that often, yes, I know for his injuries, I'm not taking anything away from Flightline. I think the performances he's put up over in America, what was it, 19 1/4 lengths he won before going to the Breeders' Cup. To do that to any horses in behind him, he shows just how good that horse is. But to be rated maybe the same as 140 and to even compare in the first place, I just think stupid. So I think it's a non-debate starter, really, isn't it? Because it shouldn't have ever been a topic to discuss. And I don't think I can say much more than that.
The best thing I can say on this: when are we going to get a Frankel film?
Oh, I know.
The storyline's there. You've got Sir Henry Cecil, legendary trainer that was down in the dumps, probably wasn't far from thinking about packing it in because he wasn't getting many winners. Comes back, gets Frankel. He hangs on long enough to see him to the end of his career. But the last, I think, public sighting was the last time Frankel ran. Yeah. You've got Tom Queally, who, I mean, wouldn't be one of the biggest names in our sport. I mean, he'd be a name that you'd obviously know, but he wouldn't be a Ryan Moore, Frankie Dettori per se. You've got him going to the top. You've got horses from all over the world coming to try and take Frankel on. I mean, that's as good as a Seabiscuit or a Secretariat film, and I'm not hearing anything else. So, as we're accustomed to, Hollywood directors love watching this show.
Given.
Educate yourself on Frankel, please, and give us a film.
Exactly, and we will help you as executive producers, the 3 of us, then to try and decipher any extra information you may need or any comment that may need to be passed. But it is, like I say, it's all there. The entire script has been written for you, and yeah, we would love to see it. Goodness, we will be there. Premiere, red carpet, no bother. But yes, no, it would be fantastic. And like you say, we just hope that Flightline, regardless of the debate on the track, he has as much success in his stallion career as Frankel has had so far, because that to me is an extra testament to a true champion, is that they can then show it in their progeny going forwards. So that has been everything from Track Talk this week, this brand new feature brought to you by William Hill. Thanks so much to James and Luke for their company yet again. Lots of food for thought there in plenty of debates. Anyway, again, let us know your own thoughts on any of the topics we have just discussed, and we'll speak to you again next week.